Liberty Crab here, and last time we made these right here, which are our massive refinery tower stacks, which we're using to make all the ingots we need to complete Phase 4. Well, our Phase 4 factory. Completing Phase 4 is going to be a little harder than that, but since we have finished off these refinery towers, which are refining down a few thousand-ish ingots, and we have our 2,000 aluminum ingots being made, it's now time for us to place a bunch of constructors and assemblers so we can actually start using the ingots to make helpful things, instead of just having them sit in the machine. So we're going to start off with constructors because that's kind of the order you do things. And what I'd really like to do is fill in this space right here. We do have a lot of machines and belts going. However, there are these empty spots that I want to fill in with something. And constructors are just small enough to where we can like place down just a few of them and kind of fill in the gaps. Okay, I'm looking at my sheet of things that need to be done. And I realized last episode I built all these refinery towers, but I didn't actually finish off making the beginning things. The beginning things being all of our ingots. I have missed about 5 refiners of quartz crystals that we have to make, and I also need to make a little over 5 foundries so we can make some steel. So we're gonna do both of those right now. Now, like I said, I think constructors should go in these small spaces because they'll fit the best. However, up right here, I feel like I can fit all of my foundries if I squeeze them like tight enough. Does it perfectly fit? Oh my god, it does. All right, 5 foundries. We actually need 5.1, but whatever. We gotta overclock to make exactly 4.1 material. And with our foundries there, I think we should put our refineries maybe right here. They'd fit. Sadly, though, I can only fit 4, and I need 5.14, so they can't go here. Now, the thing is, we're only using the crystal to make radio control units, although we are using an alternate recipe, which I'm fairly certain I don't have unlocked yet, which I should probably start doing. But we aren't going to be dealing with radio control units for a while, so when I build those manufacturers, I'll just also remember to build those refineries. For now, we can just put in these foundries. And now, with some janky belt work, we have connected up our iron and the overflow of coal that is coming from our aluminum production to go into these foundries to make us some steel. But with steel done, that's like all the ingots we actually have to make, so we can move on to the cool stuff. Speaking of cool stuff, more steel. Conveniently, the steel I need fits in very few constructors, and I think I can fit them all right here. So we need 6 constructors for steel pipes. Let's actually flip them around. No! This big thing's in the way. We can fit 4 right here with a wee tad of clipping. So what we're gonna do is just move this belt over by a little bit. And there we go. Now the belt's hooked back up properly, and this fits without clipping. And then we need 3 more of these constructors for our steel pipes. I think we'll just put them right here. And then we need 2 constructors for steel beams. I think I can fit that in this gap right here if I change how my power lines are set up. Yeah, we can just put it in line. It'll be fine. This shouldn't cut anything off. Perfect. Everything stayed on. That's good. Now we bring this all the way to the edge, and then 1 more right here. And then the belt work, we're gonna have to go underneath these pipes, and we can split them right here. Okay, so those are our steel beams, and then these 7 right here are for our steel pipes. And they fit in this space, and once we have the belts in, they should fill it up, finally, after many episodes of me being annoyed by it. And then we connect this belt, and now all our steel should go everywhere. These constructors have really livened up this place. Everything's look way more filled, and these belts that are going everywhere. Oh, it looks amazing. I should actually probably make the steel pipes instead of just having them sit there uselessly. This last machine is running at 30%. There we go. And now our steel pipes are being built up. Perfect. Okay. This place looks way better. Everything is running, and we are making things that we need to make. We only have a few more constructors now. We have 7 we have to make for iron plates. We're just gonna fill in this space right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll do another 4 for even's sake, and then just underclock the last 2. And then we have 3 for concrete and 3 for our aluminum casings, which aluminum casings and all our aluminum stuff will probably be made over there. So we're just gonna kind of leave that alone. I just blatantly lied. I just remembered I want to build as much stuff over here as possible so we can finally connect our 2 halves. Right here, actually, to fill in this gap, we can set up those concrete constructors. 1, 2, and 3. That should be good. So we have plates, concrete constructors, and then we have casings, which I guess we can just put right here. Fill in this space a little bit. And then finally, we have 6 constructors for screws, which I think we can put down here. Did I want to put anything down here? I don't think so. So there's our 6 for those screws. Can I fit them all in 1 belt? I don't actually think I can. We're using the alternate recipe that makes 260 per a machine, and I need enough space to fit multiple mergers in the middle here, otherwise things will end badly. Wait, I can make this easy on myself. We'll just put 2 mergers in the middle, and then we'll space them from there. Oh, yay! My brain has functioned. Okay, so those are our screws. I said finally. That should be finally. I don't have any more constructors on my sheet here. So now let's hook all of these up, and then we can move on to assemblers, because I have an interesting idea for the assemblers. I'm guessing it was the thumbnail, but who knows? Maybe I made it something else. Now, I said I had an interesting idea for my assemblers. We're gonna ignore the concrete and aluminum constructors. We're gonna do those for later. Anyways, back to the constructors. I had an interesting idea. I want to try and incorporate sand into this build a bit more, because right now it's looking way too concretey. So I'd like to try something in this strip right here, and we're gonna have this nice miner as kind of our centerpiece, I guess you could say. What we're gonna do is bring foundations up to about this level right here. We don't want them to be too high. Really, we just want them to be high enough to where they're stretched as far as they can. Okay, well, this mound's gonna get in the way, but I guess we can kind of just work around that. Maybe we'll bring them a half foundation higher. What we're gonna do is have these foundations, these metal foundations, and then we're gonna put assemblers on top of them, kind of like they're stacked. So we'll have this one here, and then we're gonna have another set also on wire foundations, or metal foundations, just kind of right above it. Like right there? Maybe we'll go like a half foundation taller. That should work. What I'm trying to do is incorporate the detailed funness of these massive refinery towers with the open factory look of this. Because I was noticing I'm gonna have a problem. I really want my base to look like this, where it's a bunch of flat machines and blah, blah, blah. But this is relatively boring to 1, watch, and 2, to build. And I'm not gonna just forever place a bunch of machines. So for each project, I'm trying to come up with semi-interesting things that will still keep the theme, which is why I made massive refinery towers, or the train stations that are floating in the air. Or in this case, we're gonna have some stacked, I guess not stacked, these refineries are stacked, some scattered assemblers. And the goal is to have 2 rows of assemblers, and they go in a line as far as they can. And we can incorporate the sand to add a little bit of color, but we still get the openness of the, well, open-faced assemblers, while having a little bit of fun and adding a little bit of detail with our frame foundations and whatever else decorations we want to put in this. But this is our general idea. Now I'm going to make it into a blueprint and make it so it doesn't look god-awful. Me remembering I almost never show my process of designing things, and maybe I should for once. Okay, here is our general idea, right? We got our stacking things. We'll give ourselves a little bit of space. Let's go about here. We'll go 2 foundations, no, 3 foundations, and then we have the overhang that our bottom assembler is sitting on. Here's our question. Do we want to add actual foundations on top of this? Things like some metal. Do we want to do something like this? No, for once, let's keep it wiry. Let's keep it wiry and loose. So we'll bring you to the edge, about there. And then we had that other foundation sitting about 1.5 foundations up, or I guess that other assembler. And we had this one overhanging by half, about there, right? Yeah. And I guess we can overhang this too, to about there, so we can keep some space for our mergers. That should do. And then we'll just connect these down here. We're actually gonna do that later, because we need to add our splitters in. Now, most of the stuff we've made has all been on that side of the factory, so we're gonna have all of our splitters heading this direction, which means we're gonna have to make 2 of these blueprints because they're going on either side of this kind of open space. So for now, it doesn't matter which way we put these assemblers. We just have to remember to switch them when we do the other side. Okay, there's that. I need a merger on the front of this one, actually. I think I want to have it hanging. So this top one is being supported by this inverted ramp, or at least it like looks like it is. For this one, I want it to kind of hang off. Put it there. And then we'll put a wire, or the small frame pillar right underneath it. And there we go. Now it looks like it has its own little post. That should work rather well. And so this is sort of our base idea. Let's put this as test 1, and let's see what it looks like when it's actually put in and see what we need to change. So we have to remember that our miner right here is sort of our centerpiece for this build. So we have to space it correctly on this side, but we also have to make sure we leave room for belts on this side because we have our massive towers kind of in the way. And this should be okay. So what if we put you next to each other? We immediately start getting a problem of the gap in between. I forgot that assemblers are more than 1 foundation wide. They're actually 1.2, I believe. So we're gonna have to change that. But besides that, how do they look? Relatively good. It is going for what I wanted, which is the open look when they're kind of all together, while still being wiry, and we still have this open space. And you can really see how enclosed this is gonna feel once we get them next to each other, or I mean across from each other. And there we go. So we have this nice open space in the middle. It's kind of just small enough to be what I want. And then on these sides, we have the nice openness. I've said this many times, but I kind of repeat it. Now, is there any detailing I want to add that'll make these look better? I think something I want to do is add in a different metal color, like the normal metal pillars. I just don't know how I would add them. Actually, I'd also like a solid strip of the orange. So in front of the assemblers, I think I'm gonna put this in like that. Yeah, that looks better. Because we have the hints of orange on all the machines, but I want there to be a little bit more. So adding in these beams should help. I think we'll add one more in the back right here. And that should help kind of highlight it from above. Okay, so with that, that gives us what we need to change. It looks good. I like what it's looking like, and I can't wait to put it in. But we have to make it look a little better. And this is our final design. I made it so everything can auto-connect, which I will show you in a second. For now, we shall call it... Actually, don't know. What should I call this? I think I'll just call it Open Assemblers. There we go. Open Assembler. I really wish you could auto-connect wires, but you can't, and that's something I'm just gonna have to deal with. So, we shall now start. We'll just put in a big chunk of them, and we'll figure out what goes in what later. Now, I decided that this should be the spacing, and we'll bring it as far in as we can. About there. That should be good. And this should be the right height. And we'll pop the first one in. And now we just get to go down the line. Actually, something I should do is build a bottom blueprint, because I haven't done that yet. Basically, what we do is we take the original blueprint and we delete everything on top. And now what we can do with our bottom bit is just bring it over, and now we have officially extended everything. Oh wait, the bottom part does not need these inverted ramps, so we'll have to delete those. But we have extended our foundation, so now for the parts that do not directly interact with the sand, it has a foundation, and then when we get over here where we have the big mounds where it does directly interact with the sand, we will just have the wireframes. I hope what I said just made sense. I like how that also didn't make sense. I hope what I said just now made sense. That's how you word that correctly. I don't know why I couldn't do that. It looks very nice when I do things correctly. Two things. One, I made the left side proper. I made a separate blueprint for that. So now we have open assembler left, so they're all going in the same direction. And two, I changed this bottom blueprint a little bit, the foundation, so it has like this metal wall, just so it looks a little bit better, because without the wall, what ends up happening is we see all of this garbage right here. The end points of our metal frames, which I don't like, so we just cover it up and pretend it's not there. I've run into a problem. I have all this stuff in my way, and it goes in multiple different places. The main issue being the water I'm no longer gonna be getting from over here. I'm gonna use that water instead to, well, provide water for everything I'm building, but that requires a lot of pipe work. And also I have this limestone, which I have to build over there, but then also built over to those three constructors so I can make concrete, which requires belt work, which I don't want to do right now. So we're just gonna clip through it and pretend it's not there, and then when it becomes a problem, we'll deal with it later. Wait, I gotta get a recount. Hold on. Okay, so this first set of assemblers is finished. This is 16 rows of assemblers, or 32. We need 32.78, and we're going to be using these assemblers to make quickwire in an alternate recipe, which I'm fairly certain I don't have unlocked. You know, I always do this to myself. I plan stuff, and then I just don't have the recipe. I think it's this one, the fused quickwire recipe. Yes, it is. Anyways, we're taking a bunch of cadmium and a bunch of copper and turning into quickwire. We need a measly 1,200 copper, which will turn into 2,800-ish quickwire. But we already prepared that stuff, so here are all the assemblers for that. And then on this side, we're making aluminum ingots. No, not aluminum ingots. Aluminum sheets. We need 28 refineries for that. And then we need to make heat sinks in 20 assemblers, which I don't know if I'll put in this line. That might go somewhere else. But those are the only mass amounts of assemblers I need, so we should be okay. Let's see here. How many do we have right here? Okay, so 14, 28, 16, 32. Okay, we're good. Do I want to just overclock these 4 assemblers so this is even, or do I want to underclock these ones? I feel like I'm going to underclock these ones to make it an even row, just to make everything look nice. Yeah, that should be good. And then, of course, we'll deal with this later. Actually, right now, we can temporary fix this. We can just go like this and build around, because I don't want to deal with this right now. Okay, I was just doing a little bit of splitting math and whatnot. A 780 belt can only carry 8.666 infinite whatever the hell of our lovely quick wire when it comes to the amount it's making. So what we've done is we just finagled it. On the 7th one, we've put in an overflow. And so now, this bit goes over here. It overflows into over here, and once it's done overflowing into here, it goes that way. I should also probably put these as priority mergers, so it guarantees these ones go in. That would probably be an intelligent thing to do. So I'm gonna do that too. There we go. So now, this should be set up correctly to get 4 belts. One with a maximum amount of quick wire and the other 2 with a little bit less, and I'll have to figure out how to split it later. When it comes to the input, I'm glad I made these all in separate rows because we have 4 belts of inputs or 2 of each. For our quick wire, we need about 1,300 total copper. That'll be something like 650, 700 into each of our copper inputs. The reason this is important is because when I was originally going through this a few seconds ago, I was like, oh no, I have to like somehow split my input belts. And then I remembered, wait, no, they're already split. This is not 1 line of assemblers, this is 2 lines. Anyways, it's very nice. Same thing goes with our aluminum sheets. Yeah, the aluminum sheets. We need 850 aluminum ingots, and I was like, oh no, that's not gonna fit, I'm gonna have to split it. And then I remembered, oh, it's 2 rows of assemblers. We've already split it, we're doing good. But this looks cool. I'm quite happy with it. Now we get to turn it on, which requires, that's right, belt work. And I get to bring stuff from over there and over there to right here and hope all of my blueprints connected together correctly, because if they didn't, I'm going to be annoyed. Of course, copper was the most interesting thing I had to deal with. I have brought these mergers over from, you know, our big copper refinery stacks. We're using exactly 2 full 780 belts of copper to split into our quick wire, which is taking that 1,200 and something, and the 280 going into our alclad aluminum sheets. We have a little bit of weird splitting going on, but that's okay. It works. I guarantee it'll function. Now we get to move on to the other stuff. That being bringing over our aluminum ingots from over there, and then grabbing our deuterium from the 3 refinery stacks sitting behind these refinery stacks. I don't know how much I want to enclose these overhanging ones, because these belts, they're floating. I mean, they just are right now. I don't know if I want to do too much of the frame pillars over them. For now, I'm going to leave them open. I think they look better. I might add some structural support to make it look like something's holding them up later, but for now, I think it'll be okay. But let's grab these. Why is this empty? Wait, what? Why is my deuterium empty? What? Oh, I didn't do these belts properly. Whoops. I messed this up. Anyways, we're gonna fix that, and then we will get our deuterium. Okay, the deuterium belt is in, and our aluminum ingot belts are in. I have a little balancer right here because we have some weird stuff going on. First of all, we have our main 780 belt going up over here and down and whatever, and then we have another 60 belt snaking its way across right here. Goes around, underneath, over, and into the balancer. The reason we have a balancer is because we have a 60 belt and a 780 belt that we need to evenly balance to split between 2 sets of assemblers. We cannot actually turn the assemblers on or get the lovely ingots going because these are all being synced right now, because if they don't, this entire thing shuts down. And this is not ready to sync yet, and I don't want to set it up. Actually, I already have all these belts connected. What am I complaining about? I can just set it up. Sometimes my brain hates me, and then I remember I can just say no to my dumb brain. It's fantastic. Because now what we do is we just put these random foundations here, and we put 2 awesome sinks, and we go boop, and we go boop. Now they're connected to the power, they can sync everything, and then my ingots cannot hate themselves. Why didn't I think of this sooner? Well, actually what this means is we can turn it on. And to do that, what we do is we go over here, and we'll just connect this one, I don't know, there's probably power something down here, right? Yeah, we'll just connect it right there. So that one's on. And then we'll also connect these ones up to this power pole right here. And everything will turn on. Oh, I should probably get my aluminum ingots over. So our aluminum ingots, let's see here. We will grab... Okay, there's that one. And then we just connect this up. And we connect this up, and we connect this up, and that should be number 2. So now we have both of our aluminum belts slowly but surely going. This is a Mark 1 belt, so it'll take a billion years to get over there, but that's okay. And we will keep these up in case something goes wrong and I have to start syncing this stuff again. But there we go, there's some sheets being made, and we already have a problem. For some reason, this sync up did not work. I don't know why. Now, if these sync ups didn't work, that means they didn't work in other areas too, which is kind of problematic. So let's check. Where are they happening? Right here we have one. Looks like we have another one right here. And now we just wait for our copper. Now, none of my bottom ones have turned on, which is kind of concerning. Why do I have nothing? What did I not hook up? Oh, maybe the Caterium. Maybe I should hook up the Caterium to the bottom. That'd be insane, wouldn't it? There we go. Now Caterium is going to both rows of these assemblers, so everything should officially be turning on both sides. Now we have to wait so many hours for this overflow to fully overflow. You know, if I don't hook up the bottom assemblers, they can't actually go. It looks like all of my normal assemblers are not hooked up on the bottom. Okay, I need to fix this in the blueprint. That's mildly annoying, but whatever. Oh, look at this mess. I love it so much. It's so fun building these long lines of machines and watching them all turn on. It's fantastic. But with this all turned on, I think we should end today. We will be dealing with more assemblers next time and our manufacturers as well. I know this was a short episode, but I have a trip to go on in about an hour. And so we shall murder the animal. Bonk. It is now dead. And I hope you have enjoyed. I will see you all next time, and goodbye.